204 and vsin.com.
Welcome back to the South Point Hotel and Casino, the tip of the strip. And folks getting ready for some more college basketball and the NBA schedule. Our VSiN studio there in the background. And, you know, Vinny and Amal, it's great. It's great during the build-up to the Super Bowl to invite some of the best bookmakers in the city of Las Vegas to drop by. And none any better than the legend himself, Art Manteris, who is the sportsbook director at the stations. His office up at Red Rocks, which I frequent regularly, actually go up there. They do a great job. And Art, welcome to VSiN, my friend. Great having you on Super Bowl week.
Brent, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Vinny, great to see you.
Always.
And let me first say how excited I was to come and join you guys for a bit this afternoon, and how grateful I am for what you guys are doing for the industry and the information that you're putting out to interested parties all across the country, and for the positive light that you're painting our industry in, and for the publicity that you're bringing to this great industry that we all love and have spent most of our careers working in.
You know, Art, and we go back a long way, buddy, 40 years in this industry. So it's great to have you. Great to have you. And it's a busy time of year. So anytime we can get together like this, or and it's casual. Really, we could talk business and catch up a little bit. You know what's interesting, Art, and you and I were chatting about this recently. This is the first Super Bowl where we're not alone, so to speak, anymore in terms of offering legal sports wagering. So now with 7 other jurisdictions in the country, in the United States, that have sports wagering available. What's your thought on how it may, how it will impact us, not here, but just in the industry going forward? Because I know you always have a good take on that.
Yeah, great question, Vinny. And I'm delighted to say that I do not believe that Nevada sports books have missed a beat since the onset of legalized wagering in other jurisdictions. And I'm also very excited to see that the rest of the country and certain other states, as they regulate and as other jurisdictions move towards regulation, they're learning what we've known here in Nevada for a long time, that sports gambling is a very credible, regulated industry, and the guests enjoy what we have to offer, and our sports books are just phenomenal places to watch events, and for those of us that grew up liking sports, participating in sports, or wagering on sports, there's just nothing like regulated sportsbook industry.
And Art, you get to participate. Myself, a lot of us get to do several panels together, and not just here in Nevada. We talk to the folks at UNLV in particular, and some of the other groups that come through. We've had panels here at the South Point. Most recently, we had a summit that Brent also, and he chaired. And it was great to provide education for everybody out there. You've got some other ones, too. You've gone to panels both domestically and overseas as well. So talk a little bit about those and compare the domestic to the international panels and some of the things that you've learned.
Yeah, another good question, Coach. And that's that. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of interest in other states across the country in what we are offering here in Nevada, and how we regulate and how we monitor and monetize this business, and internationally as well. I have been to the ICE Gaming Conference many times in London, and there is great interest over there in how we operate, and vice versa. I love the British bet shop bookmaking industry. They offer a great product. They do some very interesting things. They're very good with technology, and they've grown their business decidedly over the years. However, it is important to know, and I have stressed this on almost every opportunity, both domestically and internationally, that there's a vast difference in our products from what they offer in the European sports bet shops to what we offer in the Nevada sportsbook model is a completely different product. I can't tell you how many times I've been to bet shops across Europe, and I enjoy it, but I literally need somebody to explain to me what I'm looking at. And I've been there dozens of times. It's a very different product. They look at things a different way. Their odds displays are very different. Their forms of of wagering are far different than ours. And I cautioned a lot of operators across the U.S. to be very careful of what they're getting themselves into, because I see European operators making deals across the U.S. And this is nothing. This is not a slight towards those operators or their business models at all. I'm just pointing out that it is a different business. That's not what the U.S. consumer is accustomed to. And as I see businesses infiltrating the U.S. market, I keep asking operators in these jurisdictions, do they tie into U.S. parimutuel tote systems?
Exactly.
Do they offer retail to the scale that we offer in Nevada? Do they take round robins or teasers or listed pitchers in baseball, and so on and so forth? And most of these companies have no clue what I'm even talking about.
It's a different language, literally.
It really is. No slight. It's just different. That's all. And we've all read for years now about all these hundreds of billions of dollars that are wagered supposedly illegally from the U.S. And I don't know whether the number is accurate, but certainly there's a big amount of money that is wagered offshore from the U.S. But those consumers are Nevada, U.S., Las Vegas style consumers.
Exactly.
They're not British style consumers. So I am a little bit surprised at the direction some of the states have gone so quickly.
And to that point, Art, you and I have talked, and we're going to get an opportunity. I know you and I are going to be on a panel in the spring back east. And again, I agree with you. I would not say that it's not a bashing by any means of it. It's simply a matter of pointing out the differences. But how do you make the differences work? Because conversely, I've got a thought on this. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you see a time, and you've been to ICE, I know ICE is next week. This year's ICE show is over in England next week. An opportunity for our style, if you will, and some of the things that we do here to take over to Europe. And I think that to introduce some of those concepts and styles, if you will, over to the European punters, as they call them, and those are betters to us. Yeah,
I absolutely do. I think that there is a market for the U.S. product. I know some of the operators now are offering U.S. racing from the major jurisdictions across the country, and NBA is a very big betting sport all across the world. NFL and baseball are gaining ground, as I understand it. But let me think back for a moment to a big heavyweight championship fight in Los Angeles a few months ago, where Tyson Fury was fighting Wilder. They fought to a draw. Great fight, exciting event. The European sports books offer fight wagering on win, lose, or draw. Far different from what a guest would wager in a Nevada sportsbook. Sure, they could bet the draw, but that's a separate proposition entirely. Some of the punters back east were, I think, very surprised to learn that they didn't get their money back if they bet Wilder or they bet Fury.
Correct.
They lost.
You bring up a good point, because I know somebody who bet back east recently on the first player to score a touchdown in the Rams-Saints game. And if you recall, and I forget Amal, who called, because he just got signed by the Saints within 2 weeks. He was not
Lewis. Was that his name? One of the receivers who slipped into the end zone.
I think.
I don't know, I'm drawing a blank.
But here's the thing. Here's the most important thing, because Art brings up a great point about this. He was just signed as a free agent, I think, within a couple of weeks of that game. He was not listed in the player list. But here's the interesting thing, which is fine, right? In our world, there was no field. Or nothing that said any other player.
So you couldn't win the bet.
So technically, there was not a winner except for the house in that situation. Now, that would not fly here. No. And again, we're hearing a lot about how many great things there are. And listen, I am all for the expansion, like you. I think it's a terrific situation where, like I said, 7 other states have really enhanced what we do and really made it even more mainstream, and it'll expand. Was it Brent?
It was Griffin. 5-yard pass from Drew Brees.
Right.
That was the first time.
He was not listed, nor was there any other player category or field. So technically, anybody that bet, the House locked everything up.
That would not fly.
That could
in
not.
Nevada.
We'd not be able to do that regulatory-wise.
No,
here.
no, the regulators would have jumped up and down if that had happened in Nevada. And as you know, I'm a big advocate of the Nevada industry and Nevada regulation and the oversight that our gaming regulators provide to our industry. It's difficult for us as operators. It's very frustrating complying with all the regulations and being so tightly scrutinized by the regulators. We all know that as operators, but it's a necessary part of the industry.
Yeah.
And for other states looking for the model in which to emulate, they have to look at Nevada.
Okay, we're with Art Manteris, the sportsbook director of the station's casinos here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Art was one of the bookies, like his close friend Chris Andrews, who tiptoed into the Rams +3 for a while. No longer on the board the last time I looked at the Red Rocks. But anyway, when we come back, we want to talk to Art where he thinks this week's Super Bowl spread will eventually land and some of the props that you can bet at the stations and all the other casinos in Las Vegas. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Look, it's great to hear Romo analyze the play, but what would you rather do, make money or analyze the play?
Why wouldn't you have a Matt Humans in the booth and you go to him? I'm not saying, for the network to turn the whole thing over, but it's absurd not to have a voice on the Super Bowl when everybody is betting it. My grandmother's betting it.
People want to hear betting analysis, and that's obviously the void at VSiN that we fill. So, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people coast to coast who like listening to these shows. I think a lot more people are really embracing sports betting, and it's funny how the leagues have embraced it too. And, live betting is something that not everybody understands, but I'm glad we can, kind of educate some bettors on that stuff and hopefully give out some winning plays during that game on Super Bowl Sunday.
It's the fastest growing action option for bettors, and VSiN has all the analysis you need to take action on the live action. Tune in next Sunday, February 3rd, for VSiN's Big Game Betcast. Matt Humans and Matthew Holt will be joined by former NFL executive and current VSiN host Michael Lombardi to follow all the in-play betting action, providing sharp betting analysis throughout the big game between the Patriots and Rams. We'll expose the constantly changing lines during the game from multiple sports books as the game unfolds. We'll also follow all the actionable props as they cash during the game. Plus, we'll have live in-game numbers from the South Point's brain trust of odds makers setting the lines as the game unfolds. Ron Flatter will provide betting updates from the book. Windy City Sam will have updates from the party at the Downtown Event Center. And you won't want to miss our special halftime show. I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Polly Howard. They'll give their expert opinions on the first half action and what to look for in the second half. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's VSiN's Big Game Betcast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on Sirius XM 204, vsin.com, the VSiN app, and Fubo TV. Tune into VSiN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
So Amal and Vinny and I are riding along with Art Manteris from the station's casino. He's the sportsbook director up there. And as we look around town, Nikki Bogdanovich over at William Hill, Tony Miller at Golden Nugget, they are the fellas who still have the 3 up as of late this afternoon. Everybody else in town, 2.5. Patriots favored by 2.5. And the over-under all across town, 56.5. So Art, I know that Vinny has told me that we expect a lot of folks from Southern California to drive in later in the week. Where do you think these numbers this week on the Super Bowl will move and eventually wind up?
Well, Brent, it has been decidedly one-way action so far for myself and for many of the colleagues that I've discussed this with in recent days. We opened a game, Pick'em, at Station Casino Sportsbooks immediately after the matchup was determined. We had my team, my great team of Chuck Esposito, Jason McCormick, and Bert Cerencione made the game 1.5 Patriots. Out of respect to some of the other Eastern and international operators that had the other side, the Rams a 1.5-point favorite. We opened at pick and saw only one-way action for the first few days, and of course we saw that number climb. And you're right, we did try 3 or 3 even at one point, and there was some take back at that threshold. And I am looking for some heavy action on the Rams late, but I'm still waiting. I haven't seen it yet.
And Chris Andrews, I did.
I heard of this guy.
Yeah. Give me. Isn't there a relationship with
family reunion.
Listen, we don't need any lawsuits about our family controlling the industry here. So, I'm sure there's some sort of antitrust violation going on here. So,
take over, bookies. Let's go.
Well, for those listening, Chris Andrews, the director of sports here at the South Point, joins us now. And for those who may not know, Art Manteris from Stations and Chris Ray from right here at the South Point are cousins and but more importantly, dear friends of Brent and I, and have been for quite some time. So, Chrissy, would you please go ahead and continue the conversation?
Well, I only go back 62 years with this guy, so it's a relative newcomer. No, I heard him say that he opened pick, with kind of respect to some of the other numbers that were out there. That's exactly what we did. I thought the Patriots should be the favorite, not so much from a handicapping standpoint, but from public sentiment. I felt that they would, Brady and Belichick are going to certainly draw the money, and I was right. They did, and we went to 3. Art, I know, will use juice occasionally, not probably less than almost anybody else in town. Yeah. Except for us.
Except for you, yeah.
Except for us. We do everything at -110. So we went to 3, and it was just a race to get as many bets as they could get in at the +3. So I have a feeling we'll probably be back there at some point in time. But right now I just ran through, and really we're not in too bad a shape. Money line's kind of helping us. A lot of money line play on the Rams.
And the total, too, probably the trending of the total, even though there's been some under money initially. I think, Art, for you first, you see the trend where it'll be over money coming, especially as we get toward the weekend? I'm
surprised where we sit right now on the total, because there has been a lot of sophisticated action on the under.
Right.
And they've driven the point spread or the total down a couple of notches here over the past week. Haven't seen the flurry of over and favorite to over parlays as we normally expect. And I haven't really seen big action on the money line on the underdog like we normally expect. Right. Most years there's a really inordinate amount of money on the taking the plus price on the underdog, and there's no correlation to the point spread. This year it seems to be much closer in line to the right price compared to the point spread.
We had a couple of big plays on the dog on the money line, and we had a couple of big parlays going to the over with both the Patriots and the Rams. So, I obviously respect the wise guys. We're down to 56.5 with a total, but we're not in too bad a shape there either with the total. So,
how about the props at the stations and the South Point? How's business been going in that particular area?
That's always a fun part of the business, and the handle on these things just keeps growing every year. It'll be very interesting to see if the statewide handle surpasses last year. Chris, I was saying earlier that I haven't seen any evidence so far that Nevada sportsbooks have missed a beat as sports gaming opens up in other jurisdictions. But the Super Bowl, the NCAA tournament, and will give us a little better indication of what's happening and how it's impacting Nevada. But it's not just handle; it's hotel occupancy and bar revenues and other things that we have to look at to see what impact other states might be having. And also last year, you might recall there was one lucky gambler who was letting his winnings roll, and that fella attributed a lot of handle to statewide last year.
Last year, we were just about 50-50 with props in the game. I think we'll be pretty close to that again this year. And I don't know. I really don't know what the impact will be this year, but I think over the course of time, all these jurisdictions, I think, are just going to grow the market. And I talked to our hotel. I think we're pretty much sold out Saturday and Friday and Saturday, and all our parties are sold out. So I think our handle is going to be really good. So it's good so far, and I think that'll continue.
Chris and I and Vinny go back so long in this industry that I certainly was one of the guys that thought when riverboat casinos were opening up and Native American tribal casinos were opening up that was going to have a devastating effect on Nevada, and I just could not have been more wrong.
Well, we just keep reinventing things and making sure that we're destination driven and event driven locations.
Let me throw something in there. I spent a lot of years up in Reno, and the California casinos really did hurt Reno quite a bit, way more than it ever did to Las Vegas. Now, there's a couple properties up there that have really reinvested in their properties and put in. Geez, I know like the Pepper Mill put in about $500 million in improvements, and they're doing fine. The Atlantis, probably not quite that much, but that's a beautiful property. Downtown Reno, the Eldorado and Silver Legacy, and they own Circus now too. So those three locations are doing well, but the rest of Reno, it did get hurt by a lot of these, but Las Vegas did not.
Vegas did not, and Reno ain't Vegas.
No, Reno ain't Vegas. That's why I'm here.
Well, there's something, if you just take a look at this week, and certainly the folks with tickets are going to go down to Atlanta and see the game. But frequently when you have a Super Bowl in a Los Angeles or a Miami, people without tickets will show up at the location and go to the parties. And that's not the case with the weather in Atlanta this time of year. A lot of people will come out here. I saw people playing golf in shorts here already this week in Las Vegas. So there's other things to do when they come out and bet the Super Bowl and watch it in the various casinos. And it's a great party time.
So it'll be over 300,000 of our closest friends here with us this weekend.
Yeah. There's no better place. There's no better place to be for Super Bowl weekend or for the NCAA tournament than Vegas and a Vegas sportsbook. One quick story, if I could, real briefly, Brent. Vinny and I taught a class at the College of Southern Nevada at one time on race and sportsbook management in the late '80s or early 1990s, at pre-PASPA, and the reason for teaching it was that we were trying to educate young potential executives for our industry. Very specifically, us telling the students that as gambling is opening up in other jurisdictions, as Native American casinos and riverboats are opening up and so forth, when they start opening sports, there's only one place they can get regulated sportsbook operators to come in and run their sportsbook operations. And then, of course, PASPA was created and passed and became the law of the land, and we quit.
By the way, while we're here, we have one person to thank or blame for all these props, and that's the guy sitting over there from the refrigerator Perry.
Yes.
I don't know if I love him or I curse him. I'm not sure which one.
There we have it. My guys in the desert. Art Manteris for the station. Thanks so much. Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo from South Point, Amal, Shah. And remember, folks, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
Didn't catch VSiN last week? Here's some of what you missed.
So we had this. It was 75.5 in 30 minutes. That's where they originally started. Half hour. You eat 76 nuggets, the grilled ones. You can the fried.
Right.
You don't want to kill
Has to be grilled. I said grilled originally. Sure.
You did. 30 minutes. I think that's a good thing. We're going to make some alternate numbers of 99.5. Get to 100, a little bonus on the plus money.
Okay, but the overall number is 75.5.
75.5. But the big bet that I want with you, we're tying into the Super Bowl. We're really gambling here. Is with the total of the Super Bowl. You get 10 minutes. Eat as many as you can. That number against the points in the Super Bowl.
But that's only 10 minutes, though.
That's only 10 minutes.